Good afternoon, everyone. My name is William Iannuzzi. I'm president of the Board of Education, and I would like to call this meeting to order. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Mr. Iannuzzi,
Here.
Miss Lewis,
Here.
Miss Ross, Miss Clayton Fernandez. Here. Miss Jacob, Miss Klein,
Here.
Mr. Single, Mr. Vega,
Here.
Miss Williams.
Present.
A quorum is present.
Colleagues, can I get a motion and a second to go immediately into executive session to meet with district council and discuss the employment history of particular persons, which may lead to the employment of a particular person?
So moved, Williams.
Second, Clayton Fernandez.
All in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We should be reconvening the public session around 7 o'clock.
Westchester Boards. So we have like a couple of hundred kids that are just coming to from other towns. coming into the-
I went to Wapsie on Monday night.
Oh, you did?
Colleagues, can I get a motion and second to reconvene the public session of the meeting?
So moved Clayton Fernandez.
Second Lewis.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Can we all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome everyone to our meeting tonight. I also just want to point out we are here welcomed by our student board member, Cameron. So Cameron, welcome for your second meeting officially. We are going to get right into the agenda. Colleagues, can I get a motion and second to accept minutes of the Board of Education regular meeting held on October 7th and accept minutes of the Board of Education Committee of the Whole session held on October 23rd, 2025 as submitted by the clerk and secretary to the Board of Education?
So moved, Lewis.
Second, Jacob.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next up on the agenda is announcements by Board of Education members. Do any of my colleagues have any announcements they would like to make? Ms. Williams?
Thank you very much. The National Association for the Advancement of Color People, New Rochelle branch, is celebrating its 102nd year of 102nd year of service to the New Rochelle community, and it had its 57th Freedom Fund Awards dinner dance on November the 2nd, and the president is Ms. Aisha Cook, teacher in the New Rochelle Public Schools, and our New Rochelle nurses from all of the schools were honored. Ms. Judith Yvette Henry, who is an employee of the district, and Ms. Yvette Page Robinson was also honored, along with one of our very own New Rochelle High School students, Eliza Lee Jenkins. It was a wonderful event, and so many people are doing so much in our New Rochelle community. We had representatives from our government, from at the local, state, and national level, and many people from the New Rochelle community and the New Rochelle School District were present, and it was a wonderful event. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Mr. Vega?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank everyone who came out on Halloween, especially those who really went all out and on their homes to welcome all the children for trick or treating. New Rochelle is one of the top destinations now in Westchester for trick or treating now. So we're getting kids from all over the county coming to New Rochelle, and I know there's a lot of hard work. I know that there was lots of events. There was stuff at Hudson Park. There had to be at least 5 different events. So I want to really thank everybody who came out, but then also all of those people that did all that hard work to make it happen. Because I was out there and it was a lot of fun. I just also want to thank, because I see facilities here. I know that we had a lot of rain in the past couple of weeks and all. So I always like to thank whomever's out there, holding back the waves, because I know that they're in the trenches getting wet and muddy. So I appreciate them doing that, because that's like protecting all of our pockets. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vega.
I have something
Yeah.
quick. This is my first time making an announcement, so bear with me. Hi, everyone. So last week, I was able to attend a meeting get-together at the New Rochelle Public Library to celebrate the opening of the Children's Garden. And just wanted to give a shout out to all the work for everyone on the library board and the Library Foundation to make that come to fruition. And although we might have some colder months ahead, there's going to be a lot of great programming in the garden coming in the spring and even now potentially. And just as a parent community member who uses the library, it was wonderful to see that growth and development of the library. And I encourage everyone to check it out.
Thank you, Ms. Jacob. Cameron, do you have announcements to make, right?
Hi. Yeah. I'm just gonna give the New Rochelle High School school report. Good evening. It's my pleasure to speak tonight about the amazing performance of our symphonic band and vocals at the all-county, all-state performances that took place at SUNY Purchase this past week. New Rochelle High School was the most represented school in the symphonic band performance out of all the other schools selected. In order for a student to be selected to county, they must obtain a perfect score at the NISMA competition. And I would like to emphasize that our symphonic band received the highest and only gold award with distinction, which is the highest score any symphonic band can receive. While many other schools received gold awards, New Rochelle was the only one to receive distinction, and I would like to congratulate Mr. Lucero and his team for their achievement. I would also like to acknowledge the art department's recent trip to Storm King, which I also went on. It's a 500-acre outdoor museum with large-scale sculptures and artworks, and I just found it super valuable to the concepts that I'm learning currently in my 3D art class. And I would also just like to give a shout out to the students and faculty at New Rochelle High School for the Halloween Spirit Week. It was great to see so many faculty and students participating and working together to keep our school spirit so strong. So on Monday, they asked us to dress in black and orange. On Time Travel Tuesday, we dressed in our era, so freshmen were the babies, the sophomores dressed as toddlers, juniors as middle-aged, and seniors as senior citizens. Wednesday was Wicked Wednesday, and we asked students to dress in pink like Galinda or green like Elphaba. Toasty Thursday was wearing your favorite cozy sweater, and finally Frightful Friday, which was Halloween. Students wore costumes and also participated in the costume competitions. And so I just wanted to congratulate all those that received prizes that were provided by our PTSA.
Thank you so much. Do any other of my colleagues have announcements? I have 3 really quickly. I'll go through them. Saturday, November 22nd is the New Rochelle Fund for Educational Excellence Pancake Breakfast, our annual pancake breakfast from 8 a.m. to 9:30 in the House 4 cafeteria. It's $5, and you'll see many of your principals. I don't know if you're going to be flipping pancakes. I signed up today. I will be serving some pancakes as well. So that's Saturday, November 22nd, and afterwards is the Chamber of Commerce Thanksgiving Day Parade. Next Thursday, November 13th, is the New Rochelle Youth Bureau Board of Commissioners Awards Dinner. So colleagues have already got tickets for that. It's going to be great. They have a lot of honorees that serve the youth in our community. And then I had the pleasure this past Sunday to attend the New Rochelle High School boys varsity soccer team competing in the Section 1 championship game against John Jay East Fishkill. And they played so well. It was a great game. We didn't get the win. We lost in penalties, but very proud of them. You know, couldn't talk the next day because of how loud we were screaming. But we're so proud of that team, and looking forward to our winter season coming up now. All right, Dr. Reynolds, I'm going to throw it over to you for the superintendent's update.
Thank you very much, President Iannuzzi, through all of our board members and to our community who are both here and watching at home. I wish you a good evening. And if you're watching this during the daytime at a later date, good day. It is so refreshing to be able to sit here and share with you, but not just share with you from the perspective of an adult, but to share with you from the perspective of one of our very own students. So I'm so happy that Cameron is here tonight, and we will see so much of her for the rest of this year. Our City School District of New Rochelle staff and teachers invested part of their professional learning day on Tuesday to implicit bias training. The training is the culmination of planning and efforts involving the District Curriculum and Instruction Department, the Federation of United School Employees, and the New York State United Teachers Social Justice Department. This training will be delivered in 3 parts to all employees, but we began this week with our elementary schools. The goal is to understand implicit bias, microaggressions, stereotypes, and to develop strategies to challenge them. Our perception informs our reality, and that's a statement that I use repeatedly. Perception unchallenged becomes reality, is actually how I state it. This is shaped throughout our lifetime through cultural, historical, group, individual, social, and instructional learning. It is basically how we are coded when we walk into a room. We can't help it, it's just who we are. The intent is for participants to engage in thoughtful, deeply personal conversations about bias in everyday life, including in classrooms, media, and relationships, and the role of intentional reflection in interrupting that coding that we walk into the room with. We look forward to continued development of this important and sensitive work. Now, moving on to the high school. After an incredible, and you're going to hear some things that are repeated, after an incredible season where they left everything on the field, Our girls varsity soccer team played John Jay East Fishkill in the quarterfinals last week. The team played their hearts out, but lost to John Jay 3-2 in an end to a fantastic season. And similarly, our New Rochelle High School boys varsity soccer team had a tremendous fall season. The boys finished as the regular season. They finished the regular season with a 12-2 record, and in the progress, they won the Section 1 League A championship. Did I say that right, Mr. Donaldson? Thank you. They're also seeded number one. They were also seeded number one in the sectional tournament. After blanking Port Chester in the quarterfinals, the boys soccer team went on to face North Rockland in the semifinals, defeating them 1-0. But despite a great game, the team lost on penalty kicks to John Jay East Fishkill in the finals, 4-3, and still ended up as a Section 1 co-champions. Yes? So just to explain that, because the game ended in a tie, they ended up as a Section 1 co-champions. The penalty kicks moved them forward to the next, would have moved them forward to the next game, but unfortunately we fall under penalty kicks. So we want to congratulate both teams for a well-played season. To reiterate, and I know some people sometimes only listen to one person and not the other, on behalf of the New Rochelle Fund for Educational Excellence, we are delighted to invite you to our annual pancake breakfast on Saturday, November 22nd, from 8 a.m. until 9:30 p.m. It will take place, as always, in the House 4 cafeteria, right across from the Linda Kelly Auditorium. So the highlight is having individuals who work in the district actually serve food to our community. And we will see, I think our football team always shows up, our basketball team always shows up. I think our girls basketball team shows up as well. Our track and field team, I believe, show up. So come on out and meet those important individuals over some pancakes, and we hope to see you there. And lastly, on Tuesday, November 11th, schools and offices will be closed for the observation of Veterans Day. Veterans Day is an annual federal holiday observed on November 11th to honor the service of all of those who have served in the U.S. Armed Forces. It originated as Armistice Day to commemorate the end of World War I and was later changed to Veterans Day in 1954 to honor veterans of all wars. We thank all of our U.S. Armed Forces veterans who have put themselves in harm's way to protect our freedoms. Schools and offices will be closed on Thursday and Friday, November 27th and 28th for the observance of Thanksgiving. I can't believe I'm saying that already. And there will be a half day of school for all students, faculty, and staff on Wednesday, November 26th. And with that, Mr. President, I have concluded my report to the community for this meeting.
Thank you very much, Dr. Reynolds. I'll share my notes with you next time. So, okay, so we will be moving on to our discussion items, and the only item we have tonight is the strategic roadmap resource management presentation. So, Dr. Reynolds, I'll throw it back over to you to set the stage.
Thank you, and with your indulgence, I will do that from here. By the time I walk around, I might get a splinter somewhere back here. So I want to firstly reiterate to our community that budget season begins the day after the budget vote. Either the budget passes or it doesn't, and we either have to reshift our thinking and planning so that we can have another vote, or we start working on the next year's budget. It is important to understand also that we are in the throes of having these conversations with our building leaders as it relates to preparation for next year. So we think it's important to begin our strategic roadmap discovery with our Business and Administration Office. Tonight, we're going to be informed about some improvements that we've made to our district over the last year, taking a look at metrics that we intended to reach by a certain year, but also understanding that with the most recent financial landscape that we've had to endure some loss, that we acknowledge to our family here in the district, we thought it best to postpone or to push out our strategic roadmap so that we can attend to our students without changing the metrics, with the hope of attaining them by 2020, what was it? Before it was 2027. But giving us a little bit more of a little bit more of a runway so that we can make sure that we are attending to students with our current makeup of our district. So tonight you're going to begin to hear a conversation as relates to our strategic roadmap through 2029. But you will see that what it is that we intend to address and the goals that we intend to achieve have not changed. So to lead us in tonight's conversation, we are joined by our Assistant Superintendent for Business and Administration, Carlos Leal. And we are also going to be ushered through this journey with other members of our Business and Administration team. So with that, I'll turn it over to Carlos.
Thank you, Dr. Reynolds. Good evening. I want to make sure I speak into the mic. Thank you to our board president, our assistant, our
Vice President.
president. Excuse me. It's been a very long day. So we are here tonight to provide, you will not just hear from me, but you'll also hear from the team, the folks who make the magic happen, really behind the curtain. So I'm grateful that you'll be able to place a face with the name this evening. Tonight, just to put our presentation into context, I'll give you a bit of some background, share with you the goals up front, the goals that we have been working towards, and then the strategic direction goal areas by department, and then what we're planning to do moving forward. So again, with everything, we're starting with our vision and mission, our equity vision statement, and keeping true to that by providing a fair and equitable education experience for all. And then, of course, a focus on the whole child, understanding that it is both what happens in and outside of the classroom that takes care of each and every single one of our children. And as Dr. Reynolds mentioned, our objectives and our goal are aligned to the strategic roadmap itself. So tonight we're going to focus on the fourth column, which is resource management. Our overarching goal, that the one that has been driving our work for a few years now, is to maximize resources and operational experiences to provide and support the delivery of high quality education, all in service to children. Our objectives, which have remained the same, and I'll read these and I won't read them as they come up later on in the presentation. But the first is to maximize purchasing value, ensure optimal quality, and manage vendor relationships, and improve procurement and contract execution. Develop an effective process for allocation and distribution of resources to maintain long-term fiscal stability. Modernize, right-size, and maintain our facilities portfolio to support student learning, inclusive of safe, clean, and well-maintained facilities. Support a safe and nurturing learning environment for all students and staff, and then leverage resources, systems, and services to improve operational practices. Keeping in mind that all of this is what is our return on investment. So the metrics that were shared with the original strategic plan and has evolved into, again, 2029, as Dr. Reynolds mentioned. The first objective speaks to our internal controls and practices. The state has basically indicated for us what are the appropriate systems one must have in place to ensure things are being done correctly, ethically, and that those controls are in place. Perception data, we'll talk a little bit more about that towards the end, but what, as we're making these changes across the system, are we doing it correctly? What are people thinking about those changes, both from internally and externally? And we'll talk more about that in a second. And then for objective B, position control, which we have been working with our partners in human resources, and Joan Garone has done a fantastic job. So we have met that benchmark. Also wanting to maintain a great credit rating, which works for us. Both our Moody's and our S&P ratings, equitable student funding implementation, which that is now part of our budgeting process. So thank you to Joy and Mike. perception data from the departments in this category, which I'll speak about towards the end of the presentation. And then in terms of our facilities, technology, security, food service, et cetera, the building condition survey, which at the time we had about 90%. We had one outlier, which is the pool. The perception data, again, in this category, transportation efficiencies, technology efficiencies via our ticket system, and then breakfast and lunch served. And how can we improve to make sure that more students have an opportunity for a healthy meal? So that being said, the strategic direction goals and key accomplishments, I will pass the baton and then my counterpart will continue to pass the baton. So first up is going to be Joy Mike to speak on business and budget.
Good afternoon, everyone, or rather evening. Okay. As Dr. Reynolds mentioned, the budget process starts after the budget is passed. So while that is well underway, budget management is a year-long activity. So in terms of our managing our budget, we have looked at our purchasing operations. We've made that deadline a little earlier in the school year, being at the end of February. The previous deadline was in March, which will allow us to project end-of-year expenses and fund balance and to evaluate one-time purchases that are necessary. We've also looked at our professional service contract process to determine what additional data points that we can examine with a focus on the impact for the greatest number of students. We've also looked at the insurance requirements to align with our NYSER policy or requirements, and also a way to enable a more competitive RFP process for professional services across the district. We also send very regular reminders for buildings and departments to run monthly financial reports, specifically so that they can monitor their budget and to facilitate the timely payment of invoices. We have very recently sort of enacted a new process for board resolution confirmation of funds for additional time, so that before resolutions reach your agenda, we have vetted that through a tracking system to review and verify that funds are available for the full activity. We've also shifted functions from the HR department with respect to payroll, where the processing is happening in the payroll department as opposed to the HR department, with additional functions under discussion as we make some transitions. In terms of cash flow, we have focused on our special revenue funds and our GO accounting, which is our extra classroom activity funds that are audited and part of the district financial statements, to better define the process of procurement to payment, to tighten controls for extra classroom in alignment with New York State standards, looking at pre-numbered tickets, training for advisors and for treasurers, and a deep dive into sales tax, because extra classroom is actually considered a business. And so sales tax is payable to New York State on a monthly basis. We've also put into process a number of digital forms. As you can imagine, there are a lot of operational processes that need to function and process through the business office. So we focused on budget transfers, vendor registrations, mileage reimbursements, things of that nature, just to make things more efficient and trackable. So I will be back to talk about food service, but I am going to pass this off to Mr. Watkins and our construction team.
Thank you, Joy. I can attest all those things are in motion because I get them. Good evening. Good evening, Superintendent Reynolds, President Iannuzzi, Vice Presidents Lewis and Ross, distinguished trustees, and a special welcome to our student trustee, Ms. Tong. It's a pleasure meeting you. Thank you for volunteering, and hang on, you're going to enjoy the ride. So a little housekeeping. I know a lot of you missed me at the last meeting. I apologize I missed it. I know you were wondering where I was. I had to go to North Carolina. My oldest son ran in his first Ironman triathlon. And then more importantly, the middle son proposed to his longtime girlfriend that evening on the beach. It was wonderful. I'm happy she said yes. So here we are. Sorry to miss the meeting. Mr. Vega, just real quick, your comment about keeping us dry, you have no idea how much that means to me. Superintendent Reynolds and I did not have conversation well into the morning hours. We were not perfect, but we were way better than we've been. And I think the gentlemen who are going to come up and talk to you after my one slide and give you a facilities update, a lot of that credit goes to the hard work and effort and collaboration between the facilities department, our engineers and architects, and understanding how to stop the bleeding, so to say, and then to proactively fix it. So thank you for that acknowledgement. And Ms. Tung, the Halloween celebration, I'll be over tomorrow to make sure all fire code issues are resolved with the Halloween decorations. So thank you for that. I'm not going to read the objectives because Mr. Leal did. Policy updates, facilities use. You're going to see that in the upcoming policy update meetings. We've already started the conversations. Transparency. Oops, sorry. I'm trainable. There you go. Transparency, liability, consistency are all the things that need to be, prioritized related to our facilities use. We've had a lot of things happen. We need to be good stewards of our resources, and I think we're on the right track. And I think you're going to see some really proactive implementations related to how our schools are used after hours and by others. NYSERDA, New York State Energy Research and Development Authority. I think it was shared last year. We received a couple of grants. One was for $170,000 for an on-site energy manager. We're in the fourth quarter of that PO, that grant. Exciting findings, a really deep dive, much above the normal comprehension of my knowledge of 36 years, but it's been interesting to see what they've been able to do to help us tweak some things for additional energy savings. The other grant was $302,000 from NYSERDA for energy studies other than Barnard and Jefferson. They were in a certain classification that allowed us to qualify for grants for them. There was additional funding left over. With that and the grant from NYSERDA, we have now officially completed extensive energy audits at all buildings. This is going to align us and prepare us for good leverage in January and February when the Green Clean Schools Act puts out their second round of monies available. So we'll be sitting good, sitting well to submit our applications with our energy studies. Let's hope that someone else finds them very interesting and says, yes, let's give you more money to implement those facilities improvement measures. With that, our district facilities update is going to our partners from CS Arch, Passero, and Jacobs Construction Management. I believe Matthew Zakowski, the principal from CS Arch, is gonna take the heavy load. But I just have to say the collaboration and teamwork has been wonderful. It's been an honor to work with these folks. And I think what you're going to see in these next few slides, it's to offer a refresher to some of our more senior, I don't mean age, I mean those of you that have been here for more than a few years, board members, and a foundation to our newer board members. I think it's going to communicate where we've been, where we are, and where we're headed. For those of you that were here through the $106 million capital project, all the work that was done over that 5-year plus period, outstanding. We have a lot of work to do still. We're really never done. And I think what you're going to see next is just a little bit of insight as to, again, what we've done, where we are, and where we're headed. So with that, I'll invite Mr. Zakowski from CS Arch to the podium. I was told to hit down.
Good evening to the board and to the community of New Rochelle. My name is Matthew Zakowski. I'm principal with CS Arch and have been intimately involved in construction projects here in New Rochelle for the last 6.5 years. So with me is Tom Ritzenthaler, our executive principal, and Raul Verma, who is a civil engineer with Passero Associates. And we're going to, over the next several slides, I'm going to give you sort of a recap of all the projects that have been undertaken here in the district starting with the $106 million bond project back in 2016 up until the present day, the capital project that we're tackling right now. So starting with the 2016 capital project, basically spanned every bit of 5.5 to 6 years over the course of 4+ phases. I'm just going to go over a quick overview as to all of the efforts and just make sure that everybody understands and understands really the full magnitude of the work that the district has rolled out in response to building condition surveys as well as ongoing flood mitigation and repair projects. As alluded to earlier, every time there's a dark cloud that rolls over New Rochelle, certain people have a little agita, and rightfully so, that we're working through currently as well. So phase one, back in 2016, 2017, work at both Daniel Webster and Henry Bernard. There was select roof replacements and chimney repointing, had water infiltration throughout the buildings. And so the first step was to mitigate as much as we could with those two projects, rolling into phase two and phase 2B, where we started getting into the high school, Isaac Middle School, and Jefferson. I'm not going to read all of these, but there was extensive work done at the high school, both in roof replacements, including the historic restoration of your slate roof at the high school, which is magnificent. Every time it seems to, the building is raised and rebuilt again. The slate roof, the gargoyles, that entire main roof over at the high school is just breathtaking. All of the asbestos abatement and all of the interior renovations that were undertaken. You have a fair amount of athletic fields in the practice fields out in the front, parking lots for the faculty, and then also around House 4. Started getting into toilet room renovations. We get into a lot of infrastructure upgrades, projects that are pretty messy and nobody really, I think, fully appreciates the stuff that gets buried, but you rely on every day. And it gets really messy when you're trying to replace stuff that isn't right in your face, like say an athletic field or a slate roof is. All of those projects, including the replacement of over 400 of the aluminum windows, which took place a little later in time, was still considered phase 2B, the high school. Quite an effort to roll out something like that has to be staged and done in small bites, classroom by classroom, after hours on second shift. It takes a while, but again, working with facilities and the district as a whole, getting the logistics and the timelines down for all of these projects, very critical. Isaac Young, roof replacements, mechanical equipment upgrades, again, parking lot realignments, start getting into a district-wide door and hardware program, replacement of classroom doors, security glazing, lockable hardware. This was district-wide, first taken up at the high school and the middle schools, and then ultimately into all the elementary schools. And then lastly, Jefferson, the parking lot and site improvements there, as well as fire alarm upgrades, which rolls us into phase 3, A, B, C. As you can see, we do extensive, there was extensive work at each of the district's facilities. We start getting into a lot of bus loop orientations, trying to mitigate vehicular congestion, as well as separating vehicular and pedestrian traffic. It's one of the biggest issues that we see in most of the districts in and around us, separating, making sure that parent drop-off as well as the bus morning and afternoon sort of chaos is in an ordered manner and is done in a safe manner in all locations. Again, door and hardware replacements at Isaac Young, start getting into emergency lights, rooftop equipment. You'll see that again in upcoming slides. Flooring replacements, getting into boiler replacements and all the gas piping. Again, if you haven't had the excitement of being down in a lot of these boiler rooms, you'd never know it until something wrong happens. something bad happens and all of a sudden Keith gets the 11th hour phone call, and that's, I'm sure he's lost plenty of sleep over these things. So in replacing outdated and deficient infrastructure is a sort of a common theme that you'll see on a lot of these slides. Columbus, the synthetic turf, a lot of classroom flooring, door replacements there as well too. And we get into Trinity, parking lot, the bus loop, again, start getting into recladding of the entry columns and the front facade of that building. Again, emergency lighting replacements. Again, it's sort of the same program, but we're rolling it out. It was rolled out at multiple locations over a number of years. Phase 4 and 4B, as you can see, it's a good number of the schools here in the district. We get into roofing, re-roofing, or recoating of roofs, site improvements. When we say site improvements, whether it be at Albert Leonard or any of the other schools, yes, they're playground surfaces or resurfacing of some of the athletic courts, but mostly when we're talking about site improvements, we're talking about drainage. It might look like a really great field until you step out there and all of a sudden the water's over your shoelaces. So correcting drainage, again, not something you'd think of until there's a problem. So making sure that all of our sites are properly drained, and we'll get to the high school in a minute, as well as upgrading building infrastructure. You'll see this as a common theme on these slides. Again, I won't read them verbatim, just know that a fair amount of work has gone into every one of the district's facilities. Again, phase 4 and 4B, roofing systems. Jefferson, there was the replacement of the deteriorated exterior fire escape. Again, that was flagged in your BCS, your building condition survey, as an unsatisfactory feature. It was corrected. You still have an exterior stairwell there, but you don't have to hold your breath when walking down it anymore. So a lot of the work that was done in the 2016 capital project was flagged by the district as a need, but I also want to stress the fact that when we do our building condition surveys and we're going through as design professionals and we're pointing out things that are deficient and need to be fixed in the eyes of the state have been addressed. So that is, it's a rolling clock. Everything has a sort of a life cycle to it. So just when you think you're done, there's the next wave of things. So as Mr. Watkins mentioned, it is sort of just an ongoing effort to track infrastructure upgrades. There's always something in each building getting older and older. And so we want to keep tabs of that and make sure that those issues are being addressed in a timely manner. So there are a couple of images just to sort of clarify some of these points here, whether it's the upper left, it's the Jefferson fire escape that was sort of borderline death trap. That's been replaced. As I mentioned, the slate roof and the gargoyle restoration at the high school. At Henry Barnard, we have the exterior staircase leading from your gymnasium. We're talking about the window replacements in the bottom right corner at the high school. So it's all pretty much, I want to say it was over 400 windows. So they're all replica replacements. They have security glazing. There's rescue windows, which are required by state education department. The window replacements at Columbus, the bottom center, and the bottom left, just a snapshot. In this instance, it's George Davis, but the door and hardware program that was rolled out, a lot of replacements of deteriorated doors, security glazing, and now the replacement of some non-functional door hardware. Again, it doesn't sound like it's like the most wowie zowie stuff until there's a problem and you wish you had upgraded features in your buildings. You do, and we're proud to have been part of that. The next wave of projects that we helped the district with, we sort of lumped them all under flood projects. So it spans a couple of years, and all these projects, we've been in close conjunction with Jacobs Management, Construction Management, as your CM here. And Michael Natoli is representative of Jacobs here tonight. So the image that you see here is the high school library. And Mr. Watkins can speak to the number of storms, these 100 or 500-year floods or storms that just seem to be coming around every 12 months or so. It's alarming. This was a complete gut renovation of the library, including all new furnishings, as well as the waterproofing of the roof, so that that doesn't happen anymore. So the high school library, as I mentioned, there was a couple of inches of standing water in that library. So after the disaster mitigation, the removal of all the moisture, it was a replacement of all the finishes, all of the stacks, the furniture, new lighting, the whole kit and caboodle. The high school kitchen, the servery and the kitchen itself, talking about new doors, ceiling replacement, lighting, the security grill that separated the cafeteria from your servery. That was a little run down, so now that's upgraded as well too. McKenna Field, so not the practice field up by Huguenot Lake, but the McKenna Field, as well as the replacement of your, or I would say not the replacement, but the structural reinforcing of the home bleachers. The bleachers over there were in serious disrepair because a lot of times the support struts were in standing water. And over time, every 12 months or so, when a 100-year storm came through, that steel got deteriorated a lot faster than it should. In the most recent capital project, you'll see I'll touch on the other side, the away side bleachers that have just been replaced, but also the new press box at McKenna Field. And then one of the more interesting projects over at William Ward, I would call it the rear stair down by your bus drop-off area in the back. Due to some storm water, you actually had settling underneath the stair and the terrazzo floor cracked. And over time, the metal stairs themselves actually failed to make contact with the floor. So the floor was settling like Pisa. And so there was a lot of undermining going on that most people didn't realize, because you just walk by and you see a crack in the floor and you don't think anything of it. But actually, there had actually been, developed a void underneath the floor to the actual soil. So a lot of excavation work. This one was time consuming and a real space constraint, but it was part of the flood projects that needed to occur, quite honestly, because it was a safety issue. So we get into Isaac Young, weight room in the cafeteria. So there was water, storm water in there as well too. We started replacing some of the deteriorated concrete slab. And at that point, it was decided that the storm and sanitary lines under the C wing was, I would say, well beyond useful life, where you had cast iron pipes that looked like a split open loaf of bread. It's what happens when you have 50-plus-year-old cast iron pipes, and you'd have water coming out of that and undermining the slab in the cafeteria, as well as the stairwell at the end of the C wing. So that was all replacing rooftop units at George Davis. Grove Ave, the maintenance building, there was a roof replacement there as well, asbestos abatement, and sidewalk repairs that needed to occur. Albert Leonard, what we did was we reused the old high school generator. It was repurposed over at Albert Leonard, and now it houses not only the kitchen equipment, but also all of the emergency lighting. It's a requirement, or we felt it was a requirement to have that redundant service at Albert Leonard, and you already have the generator, so it was like sort of a no-brainer. And then the pool at the high school. This is a project that has been sort of in the spotlight here for a number of years. What we've done since that ill-fated storm, was come up with a new design for an addition to house all of the mechanical equipment that serviced your old natatorium. Actually, it was below grade, and that was the problem. When you had storm surges, the way that the current network of drainage system underneath or the entire property, it sort of backflows. And the first point that you'd see water developing is in the tunnel underneath the natatorium. And that's where all your pool equipment was. So the plan is for an addition to house all of that new equipment above grade and above the 100-year storm line. This is an ongoing project. We do have SED approval. We'll get in, Raul will speak a little bit more to the overall drainage study that's happened at the site. Needless to say, it's the design of the new natatorium is sort of the least of our issues. The drainage system underneath the property is a bigger task that we are currently working through. Photos here, upper left is the revamped and renovated library at the high school. The upper center photo is Isaac Young cafeteria slab just before we removed that center aisle. That's where the main sanitary and storm lines were located. Those were all replaced, the slab put back in, the flooring's back there. You wouldn't know that. That was a very messy endeavor because it wrapped around the corner and pretty much over to the turrets, the main, the sort of the historic entrance of the building. Upper right is the new roof at Grove Avenue, 8890 Grove Ave. Bottom left is McKenna Field, your new synthetic turf field there. New striping, scoreboard. Can't really see it in the distance there, but the press box and the home side bleachers, which again were renovated. The center photo on the bottom is Ward. This is the stair I'd mentioned. You can't really quite see it there, but if you're thinking that looks like quite a shadow, you're right, because the gap between the bottom of the concrete and the dirt was every bit of 6 inches. So that slab with the terrazzo was going to crack, and when that comes down, it loses contact with the metal stairs. So that was a safety concern right off the bat. And then bottom right is the relocated generator from the high school over to Albert Leonard. Lastly, for me, before Raul comes up to talk about drainage at the high school, is the current capital project. So this is 2 phases. We'll say 2 phases, yes. And it's been going on since, I would say, late last year and is running until the first quarter of 26. And again, this is going to be touching every school in the district. So phase 1, right now, we're wrapping that project up. It consists mainly of addressing code deficiencies that were captured in your building condition survey. You had a dead-end corridor at the high school on the 3rd floor. It just sort of led into your old computer lab. That was a code deficiency. It's been corrected. You have a new computer lab up there with furniture. And secure vestibules. This is a common design feature that you'll see not only on this slide, but on the upcoming slides. Creating a secure vestibule at all the schools was paramount in discussions with the district previously and leading up to this capital project, as well as some main office renovations. In phase 1, it was Jefferson Elementary. In phase 2, you'll see it's Webster and Barnard. But also the last item here is a masonry chimney that over at Barnard, that anytime there was a good storm coming through, there was always loss of ceiling tiles on the 2nd floor. And one of the culprits was the deteriorated mortar joints in your fieldstone chimney, located about the center of the floor plan. So that's been corrected as well too. And as mentioned on the slide here, a lot of the phase 1 work is wrapping up by the end of this month. That's not to say that here in phase 2, all of the other secure vestibules, they are also underway. And if you've been to any one of these schools lately, you'll notice one level of construction or another going on. They are running simultaneously. One started a few months later than the first phase, so that's why some of them are coming on board here in November. Others are rolling out by the end of the year. Again, the away side bleacher replacements, the deteriorated away side bleachers, were flagged in your BCS several years ago. Those have been replaced, as well as providing handicap access to the away side, which previously was not fully compliant. It is now. Again, all the secure vestibules, main office renovation at Barnard and Webster. And there's the new faculty parking lot, or the expanded faculty lot over at Columbus. And there's a main office renovation there as well too. That over at Columbus required the purchase of the next 2 adjacent parcels of land by the district. Those residential buildings were raised, and now you have a far larger parking lot for staff and visitors. That's phase 2A. Phase 2B, also in construction right now, is really the high school and Isaac Young Middle School. At the high school, it's a complete renovation of the Whitney Auditorium. And it's probably, there's aspects of that room that needed a little bit more attention a lot faster than others. Right now, that room is completely void of all the fixed seats. They will receive new fixed seats as well as removable seats along the orchestral pit, all new theatrical lighting, all new finishes, a refinished stage, new rigging, which is, there's also code deficiencies with the rigging over the stage, new curtains, and all that work currently ongoing. That will be wrapping up, we feel, probably right around the beginning of April. And concurrently, the more, I would consider the more pressing of the 2 projects. This is the lack of mechanical ventilation in your classrooms at Isaac Young. This was also flagged in our BCS several years ago. As of right now, or before this project, ventilation meant open the window or put in a window air conditioner. Now we can, or as part of this project in phase 2B, new rooftop units to be able to provide circulating air per hour to all of your classrooms. This will be very similar to the window replacement at the high school. This one's going to take a while, and it's going to be done room by room. So I'd say bear with us on this one. We're just now underway on the demolition, but it's lather, rinse, and repeat. But the fact that the school doesn't have a lot of swing space means we go about it one room at a time. And this one will run into next year as well. Photos of phase 1 and 2, the current capital project. So again, upper left, McKenna Field, the away side bleachers with your code compliant ramp. Albert Leonard, upper middle, new exterior doors, security glazing. You have a secure vestibule. You have a security office. So you will have in all of these locations, you will have card badge access for faculty and staff. When the floor plan allowed, we'd be able to separate faculty and staff from visitors. There would be a vetting process between a visitor and your either your SRO or admin that sits in the security office. Upper right corner, new stairs at the high school. This is on the north side of the courtyard. You'll notice that both the sort of radiating stair in the middle or right over the top of the library that faces Huguenot Lake, that's been replaced, new handrails. That is in concert with both of stair A and stair C on the north and south sides of the courtyard. Undermining of some foundations, some drainage blockages, some collapsed drainage lines. So now we have proper drainage at your landings, the bottom of the stairs. Lower left is the new secure vestibule entrance at William B. Ward. You'll have, again, interaction with security officer to buzz you through and then direct you either to the main office or directly into the building. One of the features of the correction with the secure vestibules was that once you got through an exterior door, there really wasn't anything directing people to the main office. You kind of just went down the hallways. Now there's far better vetting process. Lower middle, Jefferson, and there's secure office. And then the bottom right is Barnard. So there's in progress photo of the renovations going on in the main office. With that, I'm going to turn this over to Raul Verna with Passero Associates to talk about the drainage study, the current drainage study at the high school.
Thank you, Matt. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the opportunity to present to you here. My name is Rahul Verma. I'm one of the civil engineers at Passero, working with Chris Laporta, who I think you've heard from a number of times on this topic. And then prior to that was Stacy Curian, who had worked hard on a lot of the projects here that Passero has been helping out CS Arch with to help solve some of these flooding issues. And a while ago, Matt said that most people don't think about drainage at all. I will contradict that and let you know that I do think about drainage everywhere, all of the time. So we've delivered the assessment report last night electronically to Keith. I just brought in 2 fairly hardy binders to him this evening for a little light reading for him to undertake and understand what we've been doing. Right, the purpose of this study was to assess all of those different sources of flooding and how they were affecting the various infrastructure on the site. And then we also wanted to start developing some conceptual ideas on how to improve, the scenario here and things to address, focusing primarily on the pool area and the courtyard where you've had some significant issues. So we prepared this, we ran our hydrology and hydraulics model, the H&H model, and then from there we came up with really 3 phases of drainage system improvements. One is the 2 concepts that we provided there, to be acted on immediately at the pool and the courtyard. And then there were some longer range, more, medium range and then long range recommendations that we made, and really primarily focusing on integrating these drainage improvements with upcoming capital projects, other construction projects. Also pointing out that if there is an emergency situation, the district should be aware that you may need to undertake a dedicated drainage project that can't necessarily be tied to a capital improvement project. The report is lengthy. There are a lot of figures in there that I would encourage you to take a look at, including a capacity analysis of the stormwater piping under various flow scenarios, and seeing, as Matt had mentioned, we have this, what we call the 100-year storm. It's really a 1% chance of occurrence in the, in a given time period. We seem to be having them far more frequently in that expected time period. So we built our model using some extreme rainfall events compiled by Cornell, ran that through and completed the analysis of that. As has been mentioned here, groundwater intrusion has been a significant issue affecting a lot of the infrastructure here. One of the next steps that we're recommending and we're already pursuing is a hydrogeologic study around the pool building to understand the groundwater scenario and how it's affecting transmissivity through the soil, getting into the buildings, the levels, and once we understand what's happening underground, we'll be able to better come up with a solution to address that and hopefully keep water from continuing to come into your buildings. While we are working on putting together that hydrogeologist RFP, and getting that hydrogeologic investigation going. And that'll include drilling a few monitoring wells, installing some measuring devices, collecting data for a time period. We're already going to begin some of the design process of the measures that'll be needed to address that. So we're working a number of avenues here in parallel to keep these projects moving and keep the work going and, get a functional campus back here for everybody. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. I think there'll be some questions, time period at the end, but at this time, we'll turn it over to technology and Dante.
Thank you, Keith. That's quite an act to follow, and what a commitment to the district. So kudos. Um, Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board, Dr. Reynolds, members of the public. Um, My name is Dante Santor. I'm the Assistant Director of Technology, and it's my honor tonight to present to you some of the accomplishments that the department has achieved under the leadership of Mr. Carlos Leal. Starting with the all-hands-on-deck journey that we know as Chromebook distribution, we okay, yeah, there we go. We have distributed over 2,400 Chromebooks since the beginning of school. It has been an incredible journey, and it breaks down to net new devices for our little ones in kindergarten, which, by the way, when you wonder what the why is and you see the little ones come up and grab a Chromebook that's almost as big as they are, and the wonder in their eyes, it just washes all of the heavy lift away. The 3, 5, and 9 were grade refreshes for the Chromebooks that have been in service for quite some time. Adding to the just immense lift of what we've done is we also replaced 200 smart boards, and we also replaced all of the desktops for the high school and middle school teachers with laptops and docking stations. The team has done an amazing job, and everyone really was committed to the work. The district has also recognized the cyber events that threaten us all, and we have hardened our infrastructure by upgrading our Google Workspace for Education Plus platform, which provides us with enhanced cybersecurity tools and advanced detection dashboards, which is a real benefit in helping protect us from that really toxic environment. I know that the technology leadership team is really doing their due diligence in putting together a comprehensive AI policy, which is in progress and will be looking to roll out in the near future. One of the things that we're also very proud of is the integration of our current infrastructure and systems, specifically TransFinder, eSchool Plus, Envision, into our new mass communication platform, which is Parent Square, which has transformed our disjointed communications to a single source, branded, super efficient, user-friendly platform that will benefit our students, parents, and staff. And finally, we're constantly working actively with the data team and our building teams to help them to be ready for the assessments that are now migrating to an ILON platform. So we're seeing when the mitigation happens, and we're making sure that we're prepared to make sure that the students have the highest possibility of success for the assessments that we take. Again, it's my pleasure and honor to share these presentation with you, and I'm going to pass it over to our next group. Thank you. Transportation.
Good evening. My name is Mona Brody. I'm the Director of Transportation, and I would like to discuss all the improvements that transportation has and our key accomplishments. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Can you hear me? Okay. We have improved operational efficiency through optimized routing and resource management. We have also strengthened communication with our schools, our families, and transportation partners. Advanced safety through enhanced training and compliance initiatives. Foster continuous improvement using performance data and stakeholder feedback. Policy review, we've updated our website as well. We also made some changes to our field trips and bus safety and accident response. And we have also implemented the transportation handbook. We have a website that will better assist the community as well as our partners. Oh, I'm sorry. So the transportation website, we now have forms and applications, as you can see where it says contact us. The community can contact us and basically give us any feedback, concerns, if they have any issue or they want to discuss anything further, and also to recognize one of our transportation members if they were assisted and basically just say thank you. And I'll pass this over to my colleague, which would be Joy. Sorry.
I'm back. Good evening. I am standing in for Ms. Mango, who could not be here this evening. She's our director of food services. And so I will do my best to provide an update on their operations. So some of you may recall that this is the second year that we have been self-operated. We previously had a food service management company. And so this was definitely a heavy lift in year one to get all of the operational pieces in place. They've continued to refine the systems and processes to ensure efficiency and consistency across all school buildings. They focused on heavily on professional development this year, providing targeted training to enhance staff skills, improve the quality of the services provided, and to strengthen compliances with state and federal guidelines. We are a district that is considered CEP, or Continued Community Eligibility Program. So this is a continued year this year that allows all schools to offer free meals to students. We continue outreach around each school building to get additional meal applications to ensure eligibility. Every eligible family is accounted for, and to get those applications, many families have gotten information from their schools regarding filling out those online meal applications, which is a quick process that takes 3 to 5 minutes, but is integral or important for the district so that we can maintain those numbers for free and reduced lunch status, as it does have an impact on state and federal aid. In terms of some of the things that or initiatives that they have engaged in, they've partnered with vendors to bring in product samplings in the various school buildings, and with the goal to conduct more of those samplings this school year in all buildings. They've conducted several tastings in June of last year in the secondary buildings, which was pretty well received. In terms of expansion of breakfast items at the secondary schools, they've looked at offering scrambled eggs, breakfast potatoes, assorted breakfast meats, in addition to muffins and parfaits, cereals, and other options, just to give greater variety. They've also focused on continuous feedback to stay connected with the customer or our students, using the Happy or Not survey stations that are available, as well as online surveys. It allows the department to get real-time input directly from our students. And it also gives an opportunity to our youngest learners to have a voice, even if they're shy and less likely to speak up, so that they are able to champion the change that they would like to see, and they use the feedback to influence the menu planning and service. So you may have heard of the kiosks that are in our elementary buildings. In terms of the trends of participation, the chart at the bottom just indicates overall an increase of 4.59% in breakfast participation, which is pretty significant, and 1.93% increase from 23 fiscal year to 24 fiscal year, which shows that the department is moving in the right direction, and they are focused on continuous growth with menu enhancements and training and student engagement efforts.
Ms. Joy, for those of us who can't see, can you just tell us what those numbers look like outside of just the percentages?
I surely can, Dr. Roberts. Dr. Reynolds. Dr. Roberts is not over there. Okay, so for breakfast, September of '23 was just over 19,000 breakfasts served. Whereas in September of '24 was 24,000 breakfast served, so an increase of about 24%. I hope I'm using the right chart. And then for lunch, it was 83,000 lunches served as opposed to 100,000 lunches served from '23 to '24 for a 21% increase. I'm sorry, those are not the numbers that I have a different chart.
So if I could, thank you very much, President Iannuzzi. So if you're looking at that chart, in September and October of '23, we served about 47,000 lunches compared, breakfast, I'm sorry. And when you look at September and October of '25, that number's increased to about 59,000 breakfasts. Similarly, for lunches, in September and October of '23, it's about 192,000 lunches that we served. And the increase is now in September and October of '25 up to 216,000 lunches. So while the numbers in terms of percentages may not sound like they're significant, the amount of our students that we're feeding on a daily basis is. So we would like to also, keep in mind, and I'm sorry that I'm jumping in here, keep in mind, when we're talking about food insecurity and what's happening on the federal level, this is where our children are fed. And you cannot teach a student if they're not fed. So we want to ensure that we're able to maintain this. We are able to maintain this for free for all of our families, regardless of your socioeconomic background. And in order for us to do that, it is imperative that we receive your lunch forms and applications, because that's the only way we're going to be able to sustain this.
Thank you. And please feel free to jump in. So the '25 fiscal year was a strong year of growth and refinement for the department and the program. They continue to build through that momentum. They continue to focus on getting student feedback and engagement as they plan menus and things of that nature. And they have been doing a really great job. It was a pretty significant lift to become self-operated, and they've done that very well. So I am now going to turn this over to Mr. Donaldson in athletics.
Good evening, members of the board, President Iannuzzi, Dr. Reynolds, thank you for having me today. Make sure I get this right. There we go. So I'm here to talk a little bit about the accomplishments in athletics over the last year. So some of the things that we have done is we've tried to expand the Huddle live stream. So that means that if you're down in Florida and you're relaxing and you want to see one of our games, you can certainly live stream it, and that gives us the capabilities to expand our athletic programs and also expand our fan base. I know for soccer, Will, you were watching, and good things. So if you go into the New Rochelle Gymnasium, you're going to notice that there's a lot of upgrades. The gym floor has been totally renovated. We've also renovated and upgraded our scoreboard. So if you go into the, one of the complaints that I got was if I'm the basketball coach, I can't really see the scoreboard on one side. So now you can see the scoreboard from anywhere in the gym, which is terrific. We also put a scoreboard in the back. The scoreboard in the back hadn't worked for about a decade. So now we can run games simultaneously, volleyball as well. And it just makes it more of a pleasant experience for our athletes and our coaches. On McKenna Field, there were some sound system upgrades. Luckily this year, we had an eye towards fiscal prudence. So instead of doing a whole entire sound upgrade, we just noticed, thank you to Travis, that we got just a wire that was able to fix some of our static, which wasn't pleasant. And I know that the folks around Clove Road were probably pleased about that as well. In terms of Davis Field, that's where our baseball games are played. A lot of work has been done there. Keith, we owe you a huge debt of gratitude for not only making that field look like a professional baseball field, but now this year we also added a scoreboard as well. So if you're driving by Davis, you can see the score, and that's a big thing. It's been a real crowd pleaser. Our baseball families are happy, and so is our baseball coach. One of the things that we constantly do is training of coaches, meeting and talking about how to become a better you, better coach is certainly important. We're working with kids. Showing up every day and being our best self is expected. So we've been providing a lot of coaches training. Hopefully later on throughout the year, I'm interested in having a speaker come in by the name of Mark Lineweaver. He spoke throughout the section as well. He's a sports agent, and he has a really good message about character, and I think it would reside well with many of our students. I want to get too off topic. Last week we had a speaker come in, thanks to Dr. Artiles, making that happen, from the Harris Project to talk to our athletes just about substance abuse and mental health, and I think that was very important, very well received, so that was great. In terms of some of our inter-district partnerships, what we've done is we've kind of shifted some of our practices this year with an eye towards fiscal prudence. So what we're doing is we have our swim team going to Mount Vernon Pool. So our girls are there in the fall and our boys are there in the winter. Mount Vernon has been a very great partner in terms of helping sustain our swim program. And also this year, for the first time in probably, I would say, 5 decades, the New Rochelle ice hockey team had to merge with Eastchester, Tuckahoe, Bronxville, and Edgemont. I've been carefully watching these numbers and monitoring these numbers, working very closely with our parents. As a result, I think it's best for our skaters to merge with this, this conglomerate. I know that some folks in the section are not happy with 5 school mergers, but hopefully we'll win a section title. And next year, it is my goal to have New Rochelle hockey return to just New Rochelle hockey. As a result, though, of doing this, we are saving about $75,000 this year on ice because there's a shared cost between Eastchester, Tuckahoe, Bronxville, Edgemont, and New Rochelle. So that's really bend the cost burden for an expensive sport. We've also taken on the lead. We're the lead school again this year for girls ice hockey. Many of my colleagues came to me and folks throughout the section and said, look, our girls need ice hockey. I signed up and I said, we'll do it as the lead school with New Rochelle. So there's about 15 schools in that merger. And Mamaroneck, we're in a partnership with using their ice. And it's a great thing for the young ladies within Southern Westchester to have this opportunity. So all good stuff. On the bottom, I've included some pictures. On the far left, there's our basketball team after winning a gold ball last year, which is a great accomplishment. In the middle, we have Alex Sinasachi, who was a state champion as a junior in singles tennis. And then our track team on the side there, last year we had a state champion as well, Ryan Temestockel, who won the 4x200. So there's a lot of wonderful things that are going on in the athletic department, and it is an honor and a privilege to be the leader of this department. Thank you for your time, and have a good evening.
As you can see, this division is a rather large one with a lot of moving pieces. We're coming down to the home stretch now. We don't want to lose your interest. We're now going to be led by our Director of Security, Mr. Rob Bynum.
Thank you. Good evening, members of the board, President Iannuzzi, Superintendent Dr. Reynolds. I'm just going to talk about some of the accomplishments with the security team over the last year. We have staggered our start time to reduce overtime costs of all of our buildings. This allows staff to stay a little bit later without having them bring in or incur more costs in the evening for other programs that might go on, sports, outside programs that come to rent our properties, things of that nature. Part-time employees, which are hourlies, will cover most of our night events. If you go into our schools, mostly the high school, the individuals that you see there are hourlies. So we're not paying a premium for them to support your safety and support anything that goes on at night. We thought that that was the best way to use our funds and to use our hourlies when it comes to night events. We have reduced the number of staff that are working sporting events. We've met with Mr. Donaldson, and we both decided that maybe some events might not need as much staff as that we have there. So we decided to cut back on the smaller turnouts. But when we're playing the bigger games or our rivals, where we know that fans are going to come out, like Mamaroneck against New Rochelle in soccer or hockey. Well, they merged now, but that used to be one of the bigger events. New Rochelle basketball against Mamaroneck and Mount Vernon. So games like that, we know that we have to have more people on staff, so we definitely do that. We're in constant communication with Mr. Donaldson, the athletic director, to make the best decision on what's best for the event. All district activities are over at 8 o'clock. That is something that we spoke to Mr. Leal about, what makes sense. Some of the events start times didn't really fit what we were trying to do in reducing the overtime costs. The community was very supportive of reducing some of the offerings going past 8 o'clock. We do offer some events. I know we had PTAC and some other individuals doing things until 9 o'clock. Our PAVE programs have beautiful plays and orchestra things going on that might go past 9 o'clock. So those things we have not changed. So we're using our best judgment and making adjustments when needed. Our safety plans have been uploaded to the state, which were the requirements this year were for us to put in Dacia's law, which talks about the importance of AEDs and knowing CPR and first aid to support at all times. We also are required to do 2 drills now in supporting that new mandate. We will start doing these drills this year. We had a meeting about it yesterday. I'm excited. Myself, who's been doing lifeguarding and taking care of pools for over 30 years, do these drills with my staff routinely in the summertime. So it's an easy lift for me, and I can't wait to roll it out to my team. Also, the swatting mandate, just knowing the importance of when somebody calls.
Can you please explain what swatting is?
Yes, I'm about to. No problem. It is when you get a call about a possible threat, and before we would either close school or evacuate school or things of that nature, where now there's certain questions that they want you to ask. There's certain steps they want you to take. And is this happening now? What time is this happening? Where is this going on? Where before things were just kind of just open-ended, you really didn't know. With also AI coming into play, some of these calls are not even coming from students. They're not even coming from adults. They're not coming from people who might not even live here. They might live in Idaho, or they might be in Colombia or somewhere like that. They're just having calls come in over a computer line, and we have no clue if it's real or not. So there's different things in place to help us support, to try to figure out if this is a real threat or not. So the mandate came down from the state for us to have that updated in our safety plans, what our procedures are going to be, how we're going to try to figure out if it's a real threat or not. We do a lot of support, and we do a lot of collaboration, with the NRPD regularly. I dare say almost every day or every week we're talking about different things that's going on in the community or the state or the county, for them to also support us in knowing when things might be real or fake. Also, our terrorists, our security consultant firm also gets emails from neighboring states to see a trend of emails that might go out for us to be on the lookout for to help us support in this situation. We intend to increase our security staff with additional state funding. Everybody's working, trying to do more with less with security. We need what we need, and right now the district has supported us in getting some more security. So I want to say thank you. I appreciate it. You heard my my cries and my concerns. So I want to say thank you so much and supporting me in that ask. I also believe that it's important that security starts to learn how to understand the whole child and support the whole child. We have had student support services led by Dr. Gil Joyner come in and talk to our staff about restorative practices. It was a great experience and it was a great PD day for us. We also had our staff certified in mental health CPR, where we know how to address kids when they come in with their anxieties and not be pushy or not over aggressive and things of that nature. Just know certain signs that if the kid comes in normally every day and they're excited and happy and today they're just not themselves, what questions you might be able to ask, how you might be able to support or get them to the right person that can support them. So those are also things that we have been building on. And then also just learning how to de-escalate, how to be better listeners, how to motivate others and to get them to do things that you want them to do without being combative. Every day when you deal with security, usually hearing, no, you can't do this, no, you can't come in, things of that nature. But there's other ways that you can say it and other ways that you can handle students and or parents and members of the community. So those are things that we're constantly building on in different trainings that we have coming up. We had one this week with the support of Dr. Artiles, CAMA Consultant Corporation. They came in and spoke to us about effective listening and how the brain works and things of that nature. It's the first time in years that my staff stood up and gave a standing ovation to the presenter. So I want to say thank you to Dr. Artiles for inviting them in on our PD day. So this is what we're doing with security. More to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, team. Truly, right? I mean, this is the evidence tonight more than anything. So thank you. So I will be quick because we have been speaking for quite some time because this truly is the evidence. But I just want to put back up the metrics that we started the night with, where the progress has been made, and then of course the extended time for the roadmap to 2029. But I just want to highlight really quickly the perception data where it says winter release, and you'll see that in all three categories. And that is because we're currently working on the survey that will go out to gather that feedback on how we are doing. Have the changes we've made been positive? How have they been? How have they affected you, et cetera, both internally and externally, because we have stakeholders on both sides of the house. And so we want to make sure that that happens and takes place. And so you'll see that in the winter time. That being said, I will start to close out by just moving a few slides forward to get to here, where these are just the focus areas under physical management, the budget management, position budget alignment, internal controls, grant management. Just want to publicly say thank you to Tierra Reyes Vega, who is the grant manager for a lot of the state grants and has been a wonderful partner with us in helping to make some positive changes. And then constantly reviewing those policies under risk management, our insurance portfolio, making sure that it's robust in the area of flood and cybersecurity. As Joy mentioned, our contracts and then our facility use, which Keith spoke about. And then AI and how AI can be a tool, not a hindrance, So you'll be hearing more about that. And then, of course, we had shared this continuous improvement process, which is we've adopted as a team that great, something might be better, but we can make it even better than that because at the end of that improvement is a student and we need to make things better for them. So thank you for your attention this evening. And we are open to any questions or more comments.
And I'm going to ask for some indulgence in this moment before we get questions from our board trustees. If you could go back to slide 41. Yep. I just wanted to highlight because the main part of, or the main discussion here is how is our business office doing? So I don't want to just glean over the information that's represented here. Even though we've extended our deadline to 2029, the original intent of it being 2027, you'll see that our baseline score as it relates to internal controls was 121. We're currently at 209. So you can see that there has been vast improvement with all of the stopgaps that we put into place for our fiscal security. We're closer to 300. We're not there yet. We still have work to do. Looking at our Moody's rating and S&P rating, our baseline, we were at a AA2 and a AA negative, respectively. We are currently at a AA1 and a AA, so we have increased our financial security with the goal of becoming AAA eventually. So we want to be sure that these are highlighted so the community understands that we are trying our best to be the best fiscal stewards of your funds, and the work is actually being recognized by outside entities.
Thank you for that, Dr.
Thank you, Dr. Reynolds. Thank you, Mr. Leal. Do any of my colleagues have any questions? Ms. Clayton?
Well done. I see a lot of devil in the details. Just for parents and those listening, do you have any updates on how cell phones are working within all of the buildings and what might be a quick?
I will let Dr. Reynolds speak to that.
So thank you very much for that question. Dr. Atiles, our high school principal is here, our assistant principal, Zahida Amini is here. I'm actually going to include in that our director of security. Those are the individuals that would get into the most tug of war as it relates to cell phones. I will state that comprehensively across the state, we haven't heard very much about cell phones and cell phone use in school. I say that, because there's no hard data. So let me be a realist. If you find a way around something we don't know about it, we don't know about it, right? So I would state that, for me, my major concern was that this was going to be an increase in opportunities for students to receive consequences, and to be very transparent, in particular, students of color to receive consequences over a cell phone. So we do not see that to be a trend. So to answer your question, Trustee Fernandez, I think that we are doing well with the information that we have. I will also state to you that, students are the most ingenious people in the world. So it actually, the language of the law states internet-enabled devices. So the number of old-timey phones, not smartphones, the old cell phones, have increased in popularity because they're not connected to the internet. So again, just giving a little bit of a secret away.
Any other of my colleagues have any questions?
No questions, but thank you to the team for putting this together. Just a few comments. Keith, I'll tell a story publicly. When I first joined the board, I went to a conference about being a board member, and I met a number of vendors there, and they were like, "Oh, who are you with? Who are you with?" And I kept saying New Rochelle, and then they all had the same response. They said, "Oh, Keith." They said he's a tough cookie, and we can't tell him no. So, Your name precedes you. So thank you for being a tough cookie as one of the people that have to review the budget. I appreciate you and the rest of your team. And I will say that for folks that are listening to the number of different topics that we went through this evening, in terms of what that looks like and impacting the future budget, we are not through the storm yet. When it comes from federal impact, I know that's the biggest question everyone asks. We ask it as a board as well, in terms of what that means from the state. And so not only are they getting ingenious ways or thinking about ways to feed our students, or expand athletics or think about security and keep the budget in mind. It's not just simply that we're asking them to do this as a board, but that it's coming from our fate and our federal and state affairs as well. So I just want to say thank you. And I think I'll do a shameless plug too. If there are any changes that come about that are student driven, like let's say the Green School Committee comes up with an idea for you, Keith, or about food or athletics, any of the departments here that gets implemented, I would love to hear about what our students contribute to. So thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Ms. Lewis. Ms. Jacobs?
Sure. Hi. Thank you to everyone. As a new board member, it was also just really informative. So I got a crash course in a lot of things this evening. So I have a lot of like small questions, and I think in the interest of also just public comment, because it's getting late, I can email certain things that might be less relevant or big. But I just had a question. It was really excellent to hear about the food service accomplishments, and I understand we don't have the specific person tonight who's in charge of that, but thinking about everything that is going on right now on the federal level, how are we also dealing with food excess or waste, or how do we measure that and think through those items?
So I can speak to just a little bit. I know Dr. Reynolds also has some commentary. Right, we have to keep in mind that these are federal funds, and so we cannot give our food away. So even though there's excess, however, Kiana has done a fantastic job working with Joy to implement, their sharing tables in cafeterias. And so for students who don't eat all of their items, they can leave them at this space where others can access those, which is fantastic, right?
Thank you.
Thank you. So, yeah, federal legislation dictates that we cannot give away any of the food items that we purchase with federal funds. It's kind of counterintuitive, but
Right.
that's the reality. So anything that is not eaten that cannot be reused under legal guidelines, we do have to discard.
But then also in the flip, and sorry, this might be too detailed, but how do we anticipate how much food we need so we don't create that excess? Like, I don't know if we are, like,
Oh, yes,
I'm
we,
curious,
we,
like, where
we
we're
do.
on
Yeah,
those
we,
things, yeah.
we can get that information for
Okay,
you because
sure,
we
thank
do
you.
have a very specific metric and we monitor types of lunches that are served, which schools, what
Right.
buildings, and
Okay.
and what's the favorite. And so we take a look at that before we prepare.
Okay,
And
thank you.
if I can just add a shameless plug, not that I'm a professional, but my mom has experience in this. From the state level, you also have to follow very strict rules of what you have to offer students. So you can't also just decide to only give them pizza, because then the state will
course,
say
yeah.
you have to give them pizza and milk,
Absolutely
for
not, right.
example. So there's, oh,
Thank
sorry,
you.
go ahead, Joy.
Did an absolutely wonderful job, because that's exactly what I was going to comment. Because we are part of the National School, Healthy School, we have to provide reimbursable meals, which include certain components. So maybe the student really doesn't want the carrots, or they really don't want the apples. But in order for that to be considered a complete meal, we are required to provide certain meal components that they have to take.
I also had one more question. Again, this could also be a follow-on with more information. It was so fantastic to hear about all the athletics going on at the schools and at the high school in particular. You mentioned the ice hockey team, and I think yeah, it's really nice to have the savings. It's sad to lose the team and the pride around that. And you mentioned that number of $75,000. I'd be curious to understand more about like different costs of different sports relative to one another. And then like when we're looking to build that up, like are there fiscal savings around that or ways that it's the same with the pool, but if we don't have the home, it's expensive for certain reasons as well. Yeah.
And just a point of clarification also, we didn't elect to go to this conglomerate team just for savings.
Yeah,
It was
no, no, I
also
know.
the amount
Size
of
of-
interest
right,
of
yeah,
the
yeah,
students in
yeah.
the sport for this year. So we would not have been able to maintain a
Right.
hockey team if we did not go to this to that method.
Great. I just have two questions, mostly for Keith. So it's a two-part question that it's kind of connected. Now that we are ending close to phase 2 of the 2023 bond, are we anticipating a bond for this year? And, we've been talking about the pool, and, the issues with the flooding and just the drainage in general. I know this is a crazy question, I'm just gonna throw it out there, but have we thought of potentially looking at the cost of just raising the entire thing, structure, and rebuilding?
All right, question one. Yes, we continually, between the business office, the health and safety committee, and facilities, we're charged. We have a responsibility to look at our building condition survey. And my job is to present the information with the support of the team that's here, prioritize the building condition survey and propose what we feel is priorities, number one. And then, of course, business office says we have X amount that we can go out for, and this is what it, so we have to align any available monies with the priorities of the BCS. Yes, when I got here 8.5 years ago, I said we should be closing a project, doing a project, and planning a project at all times. 106 million is a big apple. This project that we're doing, I have to say, it's been almost seamless, almost enjoyable, right? If that's a way to say it, because it's gone very streamlined with no additional costs at this time. Okay, I'll just say it standing here. So the smaller project of like we're doing now is probably the most ideal situation for the size of our district. We should be looking at doing those continuously. Question two, the pool. Yes, that was one of the original looks, was to fill it in, build it higher. Based on the existing size of the roof, yes, it could fit. It wouldn't be as nice as the current auditorium, but it was feasible, but the cost of that more than doubled. So it just kind of outpriced us. Superintendent Reynolds?
And yes, thank you very much for that, Keith. And I will take full ownership for where we are in our pool study. I did not feel that would be a proper use of our taxpayer dollars to simply repair the pool and live on hope and a prayer that we don't have another event. So that is the reason why we're doing the full scope of a study of our drainage. And we're finding that some of our drains are so old that they're no longer pitched away. They're actually flowing back into the area where the pool would be. So we could have just repaired the pool and made everybody happy in the moment and suffered the same fate a year or two later. And I don't think that that's a good idea. So that's why we're still under this study for pool repair.
Yeah, progress may be deemed as slow, but it is progress, and we will land. But to the superintendent's point, there was this little thing known as Tropical Storm Ophelia that came after Hurricane Ida. We, all of us, after deliberate, we were very confident we would have ended up right back where we were after just fixing the pool. So good decision as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you. Let's do Ms. Williams and then Ms. Clayton Fernandez.
Thank you very much to the team for making us a great New Rochelle school district. I have a question about slide number 38. What accounts for the decrease in lunches from 2024 to 2025? Because on mine, it says 348,212 lunches in 2024, but it's only 216,455 in 2025.
Yeah, so there's a couple of variables there. So in the conversation, one could be, right, if there are fewer students in certain buildings that were usually eating lunch and they're no longer present, so they're no longer getting their meals. Other students who have chosen, families who have chosen to send lunches home, to school, as opposed to eating the school lunch. Because we're being creative and, hey, we're going to offer these, I don't know, spinach quesadillas today. Not a really good choice. I want my mom's peanut butter and jelly, so I'm going to bring that to school tomorrow instead, kind of thing. So there's a couple of variables.
Yeah, if I could add, so in our conversation, we tried to discover what that was too. Please keep in mind that we took over our own food service and we are a little bit more stringent with our compliance to providing healthy food options. which are not always the favorite of our students. So that we are realizing is the reason why more lunches are being sent from home, because they don't want the healthier choices.
Are we looking into providing healthy lunches that students actually want, particularly now with food insecurity and, benefits being taken away from families at the federal level?
Absolutely. So, as was mentioned during the presentation, we're constantly doing food tastings to see what types of menu items would be preferable to our students, with them voting on which ones they would be interested in and not interested in, depending on grade levels. As a matter of fact, if you recall, last year we actually had a food tasting out here after one of our board meetings where you were able to sample some of our, I think it was almost like a gazpacho or something, or salsa, something that was made with fresh vegetables that we receive to our food services. So we're constantly asking our customers what they would be interested in, our customers being the students, but also trying to, I hope there are no kids watching. Please tell them to close his ears. Thank you. We're also trying to trick them into eating healthier food. Okay, so thank you.
Okay. And also, the facilities department has a summer student internship program. Is this something that is being considered by the other departments as well? Okay.
We actually do already work with some of the students from the high school. We actually had an accounting student in our office last year shadowing with us. And Joe, come on. Yeah, come on. And then I want to add another one too after that.
Thank you for bringing this up. I had a student, I'm not going to mention his name, but did a wonderful job last year who interned with me in the athletic department, wanted to be an athletic director. I said to him, "Are you sure?" And he really, really enjoyed it. He's at Pace University now. And I had another student who I think is on the cusp this year that's interested as well. And we also have students that are involved in the Honor Society that are doing some work with us with coaching certifications as well. So anybody that's interested in becoming an athletic director, getting involved in athletics, we welcome them with open arms. So.
I just want to add one more, because in the technology department, we had a conversation around, hey, how can we engage our high school students in kind of serving as part of the help desk? Because some of them know a lot more than we do now because they're like on it all the time. And there has been some interest on their part. And so we have continuously had the conversation around how can we, i.e. the business side of the house, pair with the instructional side of the house to kind of showcase what we do, because these are also career options.
Thank you. And I just wanted to, I don't believe that this was mentioned, but the status of the TV station. Is the cable TV station up and running? And also, do we have any idea of the viewership?
So yes, the TV station is up and running. I'm going to check with Travis. Just a thumbs up. Is it up and running? Okay. Okay, Mr. Malfitano, is it up and running? Thank you. Okay. It took 3 years.
Progress.
I'm
as
glad.
Dr.
I'm glad.
Watkins-
Now have a little thing to tell me when things are on.
Okay.
Why can't we record?
So the TV station is up and running. It is very hard for us to maintain metrics of who's watching the TV station because it is a cable service. But we are able to provide you with metrics of who's reading our newsletters, who's watching online for all of our live streaming, but we're not able to do it for the TV station.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Ms. Clayton Fernandez?
Yes, so I had two questions. One relating to page 40, where you talk about the key accomplishments in security. I know in the years prior to our budget constraints, we did have some outside sources that were integrating intramural sports like basketball and things where they needed gyms at different schools. How are we doing with outside vendors who want to have out-of-school time with kids who may not make the basketball team, but have these programs where there's basketball tutoring, some other bonding programs that maybe are off the grid of our normal athletic sports. Does that make sense?
We do have partnerships with other agencies.
And it's work, okay,
So most of those are still, no pun
And-
intended, but still in play.
good.
Yeah, so what we've asked for them as well is, hey, we want to close our doors at 8 o'clock.
Right.
Cost saving, so how can you adjust your schedule? And they have been very accommodating.
Okay, I know that's been a new thing. And then the second question relating to the pool. I know, just curious, I know that Mount Vernon's pool is relatively new. They rebuilt it. I just wonder, was it a model that we could replicate or follow the map, or I don't know, because I know their pool is relatively new, yes? Did I get that wrong?
Their pool is newer at Mount Vernon High School.
About
yes.
10 years?
Less than 10 years old.
Less than 10 years old.
We would not replicate that because ours will be better.
Bigger and better. Okay.
Any other questions, Ms. Williams?
Yes, and this is, I'm not familiar with, it's on slide 40 as well, Dasha's Law.
So that's Dacia's Law. Dacia's Law is actually a new New York State legislation requirement that the same way we have fire drills, we must now have AED drills that are led by medical professionals, our nurses, as well as on all of our sports fields. So we are now required to have 2 mandatory AED drills a year in each building. That must be a part of our building plan. But I know, for instance, our athletic department will be running almost a dozen, if I'm not mistaken, because it will take place for each one of our teams as well.
Okay, and what's an AED?
Thank you. What is it? Automated.
External defibrillator.
Thank you. Automated external defibrillator. So it's the clear. Yeah. So that.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Any other questions, colleagues? All right, seeing none, thank you very much, whole department. We appreciate that. In the interest of time, colleagues, I'm just going to skip liaison reports and we're going to go straight to public comment. Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to convene into the public comment period of the meeting. The Board of Education adopted policy 1230 in April 22 to ensure all members of the public have the opportunity to speak at both of our board meetings each month. We believe it is crucial for us to hear from our community members about their concerns and issues. Having said that, please note that the board is here to listen. The public comment period is not designed to be a discussion. Accordingly, understand the board will not respond to your concerns and questions tonight. We take your concerns and questions seriously and want to have sufficient time to process and research the issues if need be. We will, however, respond to your questions and concerns at a future meeting or have the proper staff member get back to you at the appropriate time. I also want to point out that under state and federal privacy laws, we are unable to entertain any comments or questions about school personnel and students. Please know, however, that we take personnel concerns very seriously. On these matters, we would ask you to go through the appropriate administrative channels. Finally, we recognize that right now our nation and our community are polarized on a number of issues. That said, we want our school board meetings to serve as an example to our students that members of our school board and members of our community can deal with controversial issues in a civil manner and demonstrate mutual respect for one another. In that spirit, we will insist that all speakers and members of the audience maintain civility and respect for any divergent views that others possess. We ask that speakers please address their comments to the board directly rather than the audience. In the unlikely event the meeting becomes unruly, the board will recess the meeting and return once order has been restored. Finally, I want to remind everyone that you may submit written comments to the board in lieu of speaking during the public comment period if you so choose. Tonight, we've set aside 45 minutes for public comment, where each speaker who has signed up before 3:30 today has 3 minutes to speak. If a person requests to speak after 3:30, speakers may sign up in person at the meeting with the clerk and will be afforded the opportunity to speak. Our first speaker of the night is Mr. Vincent Malfitano. Yeah, would anybody else like to sign up for public comment? Okay, Mr. Seam.
Well, the good news is, good evening, everybody. The good news is, we got a lot of information today. Lately, we've been having meetings where the information seemed to be, scarce. So, we got a lot of updates. I don't feel that informed still. I would have loved to see some, numbers, costs, because especially since we just, we're in a budget crunch, we had $22 million deficit. So how does this all fit in? What, are the expenses? Where are we? And, what else do we need to spend? It's a lot of stuff here. So we have I see a new capital plan. I'm not sure how much that was. I know we had approved some $24 million. I don't know if that's what we're using. So those kind of things. The other thing is that I was going to say, ask our student person, since we talked about the lunches, but we have another student here because I guess she left. So I asked her, do you eat the lunch? I know she doesn't. She eats breakfast, maybe. Sometimes it's just a bagel. She eats the lunch. She doesn't eat the lunch. Why not? It doesn't look like regular food. What would you like to see? I wanted to see it look like regular food, is the feedback. So that's from one of your students. The other thing about our student board member, she seems like a very lovely lady, very knowledgeable. I do think that a lot of us are thinking that we should have had a process that was open to the population, that all the kids were asked if they were interested in becoming a board member, and not just the student government picking somebody, because a lot of kids, one-time opportunity, they're not going to ever get that chance to do it if they're seniors. So that's something that, maybe going forward, we could do, because these other kids don't even know that this opportunity even existed. So it's kind of like an electoral college just choosing for you, and you never had a chance to do an election. So I think that's something that we need to think about. I have some additional time. So the last time we were here, not last month, we talked about some of these 2030 goals. I don't even understand why we're extending this to 2029. I guess because we're close with these strategic operating plans, and the measures weren't that clear. But I guess I don't have time. Regents are important. This thing about us getting rid of it is Adelaide Sanford worked hard for us to have regents. That's not a good thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Naseem. All right, Mr. Malfitano, you're up.
Hello, good evening. Vince Malfitano. I was really hoping to have our student member here, but maybe she went home early. I don't know if that's going to be a regular occurrence. I was going to ask her if your cell phone was confiscated in the school for some inadvertence, and then you went to get it and it was missing. Would you expect the superintendent to cover the bill? I was hoping Ms. Tung could ask you that question, because you're going to tell her no, you're not. Because your policy that you guys rather ridiculously sent to the state says in black and white, yes, we can confiscate your phone, and two, the school is not responsible for loss, damage, or theft. Now, you guys are sitting up here, you represent the people of the town. Do you really think that's a sane policy? Of course it's not. Now, when I spoke with Assemblyman Otis, nice guy, he said he was going to reach out to you about this. He made the example to me. He said he couldn't believe it. He said, that reminds me like if school took your bike for some reason and then they couldn't find it. He didn't believe it. He didn't believe it. He had his staff, and so did Ms. Fernandez, staff looking the state law. There's nothing in the law that says you guys can are prevented from putting that, but it's a rather ridiculous and insulting policy. Does anybody here have the guts to say so publicly and do something about it? No? You just hope it's going to disappear, right? Okay, let's see. For security, also very good presentations, the whole thing. What's the policy to stop weapons from coming in the school? There is none. It's a wing and a prayer. It's a hope that out of the 3,000 kids that walk in the building, nobody's got a Glock in their backpack. I understand it's not easy, but you have no affirmative policy other than praying that nothing happens in our district. We got doors and locks and buzzers and bells and whistles, but 3,000 kids walk in the building and nobody knows what they got on them. Okay, are you happy with that? You seem so. And of course, there is the other problem that I've mentioned for the longest time, the rather stupid and insulting policy of putting Indigenous Peoples' Day with Columbus Day, when it better was the day after Thanksgiving coming up, a celebratory day. Mr. Vega shakes his head. I hope you get reelected. The board needs you. That we have to have a policy that says we're going to insult people rather than honor them the day after Thanksgiving.
As a reminder to our public, I, as superintendent, will not allow any member of the public to address our student trustee. So please keep that in mind for future meetings. So I'm not going to engage in a conversation with you. Mr. Vega, please. I'm not going to engage in the conversation. Again, I'm going to readdress to the public that you will not be allowed to directly address our student trustee. If you do, we will pull away your microphone. Please be reminded.
I think that's a rather ridiculous.
Have a good evening.
Would anybody
Point of
else like
order.
to?
Somebody's phone. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Hello to the board. My name is Alex Lopez. I just wanted to say thank you to all the leaders here tonight who were involved in the capital project. Listening to the summary today, there's been a tremendous amount of work completed thus far, and there's a lot of projects underway, and I think it's really impressive. And I noticed one thing in phase 3 of the 2016 capital project. It was mentioned that there was a parking lot and a bus loop realignment project at Albert Leonard. If someone could provide a little more detail about what was done. And number 2, has there been any consideration for something similar at New Rochelle High School? Thank you.
Thank you. Not to me. Anybody else for public comment? Okay, seeing none, we are going to move into our new business consent agenda personnel resolutions. Colleagues, can I get a motion and a second to approve consent agenda for personnel resolutions number 26-178, 1 through 15, number 26-179, 1 through 1, number 26-180, 1 through 30, number 26-181, 1 through 14, and number 26-182, 1 through 24, according to the recommended action for each item.
So move Vega.
Second, Lewis.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item is new business consent agenda general resolutions. Colleagues, can I get a motion and a second to approve consent agenda for general resolutions number 26-183 through number 26-197, according to the recommended action for each item?
So move Vega.
Second, Lewis.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Our next meeting is going to be Committee of the Whole session on Thursday, November 20th at New Rochelle High School. Colleagues, can I get a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting?
So move Vega. Free time.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Good night, everyone.